I started with dance. I started dancing when I was 10, and then I went to college for dance for a year when I
Mhm.
turned 18. And then I ended up moving to Los Angeles when I was 19 to keep pursuing dance because I was like, dance college tuition was way too much. Pretty immediately, I had always kind of like written poems and stuff, but like in my room. And then I had a lot of alone time when I first moved to LA, just because I was still like making friends. And then yeah, I started writing songs in my room. And the Snow White was like born in that time period, and then I just kind of like jumped into it quickly. And then honestly, I'm honestly still learning like a lot about being an artist. I feel like as a dancer, and especially in the dance community that I grew up in was more industry based.
Okay.
So I feel like we were always so aware of what was happening in pop music, particularly. And I grew up like very much so in the section of pop music that was a little bit more limit pushing. So things that I was like gravitated towards were always like Lady Gaga and Madonna and Gwen Stefani and Brooke Candy and Slater. Before I even started the artist process and like figuring out who exactly Snow White was as an artist, I already knew my taste as
Mhm.
a dancer. So it's kind of like everything ended up being my artist project was already what my taste was as an artist, as a dancer.
Mhm.
So I think it all kind of works together. Like I don't think that anything in my artist career like exists without dance or exists without my creative direction process. So it's like I think or my songwriting process. So I think that like me as a music artist, like it's a bit more involved than just songwriting
Mhm.
and singing. I think like when I started Snow White, I started it with a mantra, and that mantra was you are who you've always wanted to be. And that's what I hope people take the feeling that people take away whenever they hear my songs. When I started Snow White, I was in a really hard place in my life.
Okay.
And so Snow White was almost like the mantra of the person that like, when you're just like not good
Yeah.
and everyone's telling you envision the best version of yourself. Like that's like kind of like what you do when you're at a really low point in your life is you're like
Mhm.
envision that best version of yourself and then become that person. And it's pretty much the idea that like you are simultaneously at all times the best version of yourself and the worst version of yourself, and you can kind of if you choose to like live in a certain reality, everything around you in the physical will kind of just like match up to that.
Mhm.
And I think that Snow White was like a personal testament of that to me. I think once I started living as her and breathing as her and feeling like her, everything in the physical world kind of just started to flood in to fit that image of
Mhm.
the reality that I was creating. I think that that's the message that I like want other, which I think it can be perceived as confidence or like self-worth obviously, but I think it's
Yeah.
like if you ask me on a deeper level, it's just about shifting your reality, shifting your perspective. What Do Girls Do is kind of, it's just a commentary on queerness in general. I was in a really interesting place whenever I wrote this song. I've been out queer since I was like 14. I was primarily with women most of my life. And then whenever I moved to LA, I started having like some experiences with men, I think for like multiple reasons. At the time that I wrote the song, I think I was really confused. So I think that the song was honestly, and this is so interesting, I don't even know if I've spoken about this to anyone actually. Like I wrote this next project with close friends. And yeah, I think that I was just dealing with wanting with my queerness, honestly. I think obviously on a surface level it's about lesbianism, of course, but
Mhm.
like on a deeper level, I think that it's just about womanhood and what it means to be a woman for everyone. This is the first music video that I've done without dance, so that was really interesting for me. I think that for a big portion of my artist career so far, I don't think that I've used dance as a crutch or anything just because I think it's so involved with my music. This was one of the first songs I wrote without dance in mind, which is interesting for me. And this is the first music video that I've done without dance. So I think that the challenge of that for me, not using dance as a crutch and having to like really just express myself without movement. I love being like challenged as an artist and to see, you know, what roles I can fit and what roles need more work from me. So we did the music video with some close friends too, and everyone on set was so sweet. And I think committed to the meaning behind the music video and the specialness of me doing my first music video without dance. So yeah, I think that the day itself was memorable just based off of like the premise of what I was doing. I think that What Do Girls Do is probably very separate from what I've put out so far. I think that Queen Degenerate is a good representation of my raw talent. But I think that this new section of my music that I'm about to put out is a good representation of a little bit more of a developed talent. So I think that they're actually like so completely different. And I think that What Do Girls Do is the start of me presenting to the world in which ways I've developed as a musician and I've developed as an artist. I'll always take the time to like continue to develop myself. And I think that this new section of music is a better representation of me being detail oriented and a little bit more specific with where my music comes from and what it sounds like. I think that it's experimental. I think that it's very political, and I think that it is very mantra to the communities that I want it to hit. And I think that it's just very community based in general. I think that it's very individual, and I think that I'm excited to see what type of fan base and community that Snow Wife is gonna have. I'm actually not anything like Snow Wife in real life. Sometimes I am, but most of the time I'm not. The number one thing that I've heard from people whenever they meet me, especially like even like my girlfriend, like whenever we met, that was like her like main comment to me was like, wow, you're really like not what I expected. I guess that most people would think that I was just very, and in some ways I am, like as far as like I think sureness of self, I'm very sure of myself. I think that Snow White, I think that I have her in me. There's parts of her that are in me that I'll access, I think, at points of time. In my heart, I'm a very like settled down type of person. Like I'm a very like in love type of person. But I am her in a lot of other ways, and everything that I stand for as far as like individuality and creating a life that works for you, for yourself, that is all me. But I think I personally am maybe a little bit more boring than her.